Good morning.
Yeah.
All right, so I know that Tiffany has asked those of y'all that it's safe and appropriate to turn your cameras on. This is what's so cool. We're going to wait for a few more people to pop in. And this is going to be one of the most interactive ways that we can work together as our GPS family. If anybody can come off mute and tell me what today is, please tell me what today is.
Thankful Tuesday.
That's one way of putting it, Sasha. Debbie must be driving. Debbie's driving. She's shaking her head. Today is Giving Tuesday. So here's what's cool. We want to blast our business into 2023. So as a show of hands, how many of y'all have completed your one-page business plan for 2023? Thank you, Sasha. Deborah, you better have your hand up, girlfriend. She laughing her head off and on mute. Alethea, I know she does. I know Chris does. Chris is sitting there. Look at that beautiful hair. Okay, so here's the thing. If you have your business plan completed, the one-page business plan, great. If not, then I suggest that you relook at Tom Martin's business planning clinic. We are going to have it virtual. I am waiting on the link so that we can send it out to everybody. And here's the deal. Morning, Will. He just popped his camera on. Inside of our database, we should have a group of folks that I call my top 50. Some people call it your cheerleaders. Some people call it your major influencers. Who are the people who boost you, love you, refer to you? And this doesn't just have to be clients. This may be people who have never done business with you. However, they refer you all the time. Okay. If today is Giving Tuesday, I want you to do yourself a favor. Call each of those people. It's good to have 50. If you only have 5, that's fine. You can grow it. We're not shaming today. This is about giving back to your people. Call them and ask them a question. What can I do for you today? This isn't about business. This is about giving back to the people who have poured into your business. Some of these may be your family members. Your mom and dad may be in your top 50. Your grandparents, some of y'all are young enough that your grandparents are still alive. So I want you to, by a show of hands, if you have identified people in your business that are your cheerleaders, raise your hand. Okay. So those people that raised your hand, please do me a favor and share with the group what you do for them to show your appreciation.
I always take my people to dinner, but I just started 2 years ago, so I've got a small group right now.
So do you take them to dinner once a year, once a month, once a quarter, Chris? What does that look like? How do you scale it?
It depends if they live near me or not. If they live further away, it's once a year. But if they live close, I try to, hey, I'm going to the game. Do you guys want to go? Hey, we're going to this event. Victorian Christmas is coming up. So I try to get everybody together. I also go to happy hour every Friday and host that and invite everyone to it.
Okay, so Will, I saw you raise your hand.
I got to be honest. I don't necessarily know that I do anything like special, like parties or anything. It's just about, I stay in communication and community with them. I mean, like I would call them my friends, so it's kind of like, it's normal. So maybe I do need to find some things that are special and more appreciative. But I think just having that sense of community with them and just kind of loving on them as a matter of routine, because you really do care, is super important. But yeah, I do need to think of some special stuff other than like, a Christmas gift and things like that, probably different things throughout the year. are going to be a good idea.
Absolutely will. So you are being purposeful and staying in touch with them, but you can take that from E to P. And that's what we're about, is how can you pour into them? Because remember, this is Giving Tuesday. And I see that Deep has popped on. And Sasha, you've got your hand up. So Sasha, go ahead.
So I make it a point to know my cheerleaders' love languages. So depending on what they like and how they like to interact is what I do. So some of them I could take them out to dinner. Others I just hang out with them at their house and help them do whatever it is that they're doing. You know, depending on who they are and what they like, I try to make sure I at least once a month try to pop by or talk to them to keep them and myself top of mind and make sure that I'm giving them the best service that I can.
Excellent, Sasha. So let me ask a question. When you're having conversations with these people, what are some of the things that you do?
As far as trying to find their love language or just to,
Yes.
so usually it's in the very beginning when you're starting to get to know who your people are, I start taking notes. So I just ask them basic things or pay attention to like basic things. If we're out driving together, oh, my favorite color is this, or I love that restaurant. Have you done this or that? And like, I'm like a little detective writing everything down. That way, later on, I know that there's one who is addicted to Starbucks. So we have a monthly Starbucks date. And she sends me people. Not everybody becomes a client, but I still thank her in those types of things. So just knowing little, and it's the smallest detail. I mean, something as simple as her husband liking pink and me finding a pink thing and giving it to them or sending them some dog treats. Those are the things that matter the most to them, more than sending them like major gifts and things like that.
Awesome. Awesome. So I know that somebody else had their hand up, but they brought it down. And I'm going to put Deep on the spot really quick because he has found a way. Krista, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. For holiday, I just did last week a drop off of pumpkins with succulents. So I try to do something different for Thanksgiving. I dropped off 20 to my top, 20 people. So that was a nice drop off, and it took me a while because a lot of times half of them do want you to come in the house and chat, which is nice. But it did take a couple of days for that drop off. And, I keep that. And then I'm inviting the few people that I didn't give them anything. I'm inviting them to my house next Friday for a little cocktail.
Thank you.
So I try to stay in front of them. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So one of the things that we do in our business is in my top 50. Okay. If there are 52 weeks in a year and I take 2 weeks for vacation, that leaves me 50 weeks to be able to pour into my top 50. So once a week, I take them either to breakfast, lunch, or dinner, which is their choice. And then that way I'm getting out, I'm around people, I'm pouring into their lives, and it makes for communication that stays in touch and pouring into them. And then we get to do business strategies and we talk about their business and how we can help them, and things of that nature. So pouring into the top 50 is really kind of cool. And Deep taught me something a few weeks ago, and I'm going to put him on the spot. He has created a way to get his raving fans and his cheerleaders involved in giving back to the community during the holidays. And he has this tribe of people that want to give to his purpose and his choice, and it helps him. So Deep took it from E to P, real doggone quick. It took him a little bit of time, but he did it. And Deep, could you do me a favor and share with us what you do with these raving cheerleaders that you have to give back to your community and make it so impactful that you've created this huge tribe?
Morning. I'm going to be very quick. I have a 9 o'clock Zoom that I have to get on. Sorry. It's pretty simple. It's it's giving back all year round. Like, me, Alina make a point going to events. Alina makes a point going to every event there is, held by a client, held by a future client. To support them, that creates a big support system. When you support them, they support you when it comes to those kind of things. Then 4 years ago, we decided to team up with something local, and everybody in Orlando can be part of this. It's not my thing only. There are, quite a few people out there, that more than 3,000 families that needs to be helped in today's day. And I figured out a way to get my friends, my coworkers, my clients involved in nonprofit charity, collect toys. I'm making it much easier for them. Is like, hey, you don't have time to go shop? Mow me the money. I go shop. I fill out the form with their information. So end of the year, when by January, they get a thank you card from the actual organization, makes them feel part of it. We started this, I think, 5 years ago or 4 years ago. It started with 2,000, 6,000, 8,000. Last year was 10 grand. This year, I'm hoping, praying, and I'm going to make it happen. It's going to be more than that. I've got, I got a big group of EXP top listing group that's joined our GPS group. They're doing an office party, and they've made it a point to make sure that everybody brings something. It doesn't matter one item or half item. Everything counts. So I got a couple of people in the call who, Delania is one of them, who started sharing my post. It's a very generic post. It doesn't say nothing about me. It just has a small EXP logo in the middle. It's a toy drive. Anybody locally can affect this. This is helping the actual foster kids who have been taken out of their families, from their house, because they will be harmed, abused, sold. They are the parent in the house. So just imagine these kids have no, this is all they look forward to. And on top of that, I'm very fortunate to be able to give back in a way that, really tickles me in amazing places. That, it's all about giving. And me and Claire had made a big point the last couple of years. We're going to be good receivers. So we're even feeding almost 250 kids. They do a Christmas Day event for these kids because they have no family. They have nothing. They don't know what to do with them. So there's an organization who's taking them around in different places, fun spots, and I think Gaylord's ice park that they have. So we're going to be providing them lunch. So it's more to give back. This is all about holidays, guys. More you give, more you're going to receive. I've realized that being in this business for 17 years, the way we pour in my minutes, I wish I did what Claire does. I think 110% of my business will be referral. We don't touch them as often as we need to, but when we do, we make it very impactful. And same thing with Alina. She makes it very impactful that the clients know they mean first. It's not the transaction. It's not the deal. It's them. They come first. The transaction comes later. So please, anybody wants to get involved with this locally in my area, it's still not late. We got a couple of weeks. It's never late. I've got we're doing an appreciation party. We decided to do last minute like we did last year. I think we do these things last minute every time, and it works out great. The emails are going out today. And last year we had pretty close to $2,800 of toys that was brought by clients. Client says, what can we get you? I said, nope, we are raising toys. They came, we made them fill out something. So kind of makes them feel part of the process. And it was great. I'm hoping it's going to be much more this time. Let's see. Any questions, you're more than welcome to, if I'm not on the call, you can call me. Everybody can find my number online.
Hey, Deep, can you post your contact information in the chat, please? And this is what's so cool. So Deep started it small. He didn't start it himself. He just got involved with a local place, and it evolved with his cheerleaders and his tribe. So what's really cool is whether or not we have the funds to be able to fund something like this, isn't it cool to have a goal to be able to do this? And I know that some of y'all, know an influencer from a different brokerage firm. His name is Jay Papazon. And there's another influencer named Ben Kinney. And I heard them a few years back, and they touched my heart in a mighty way. And this is what they did. Not only was it about making $1 million, then it was about netting $1 million, then it was about giving $1 million. Could you imagine right now giving $1 million a year to a foundation, or creating your own foundation to make an impact on your local community or worldwide? Could you? I don't see any shaking heads except for Chris's. Chris is like, yeah.
That will be so powerful. I would love
Wouldn't that
to.
be powerful? How many lives we could impact with that, Deep?
Oh my
And
God. I
those of
can't-
y'all that are on the call. So encouraging yourself in business and blasting into 2023 when we're setting our goals, is part of your goal giving back? Because you've been so gracious to receive all of this and you've done all the hard work, doesn't it make sense to give back? And if you don't have the funds, get involved with something local in the community. Maybe it's just your time. You know, some of us are on strict budgets right now, but I can tell you right now, there is a lot of places out there that need 2 feet, 2 hands, and a smiling face. They're not asking for money. They're asking for some volunteer hours. And if you don't have a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, or you need to be, you're done making your phone calls in the morning, in the afternoon, where could you be volunteering? Where could you make an impact to pour into the lives? Now, I'm a big advocate of children and fur babies. Babies are my thing. Okay. What is your passion? What is your love? And that's what I want to blast you in to 2023 and have your brain think about those things. Deep, that was, I know I put you on the spot, buddy. However, you are amazing. And the way that that has evolved in such a short amount of time is incredible. Because if we're doing business planning, I know that Tom Martin talks about this. What's your 1-year goal? Your 3-year, 5-year, 10-year goals? You know, is your financial thermostat high enough that you could actually have a plan, put it on a vision board? Where's Lizette? I know Lizette's on here somewhere. Lizette, I see her now. She's in the middle of my screen because her camera's not on. Lizette does an incredible dig deep into a vision board. If your vision, if it's not on your vision board and it's not in front of you on a daily basis, most times it will not come to fruition. Yes, there's that smiling face. Tell us about those vision boards. And do you have something on your vision board that's about giving back?
Me? Oh yeah. I'm still working towards that. I want to have a transition home for pregnant teens and babies. That's something that I'm still working for. I actually collaborate with a pregnancy center for the past couple of years. I pick up donations. So Deep raises money. I'm like hard-headed. I'm the one that will run around all over Orlando and pick up baby items. I ask clients for baby items when they're moving. I literally packed my car, like picked up tons of stuff, took it to the pregnancy center. But I mean, again, I know I'm not saying for you guys to do that, but you know, I think being intentional every day, you don't have to, you know, you're busy kids, you can still kind of ask, you can still give and do other things, you know? But yeah, on my vision board, I do have the pro-life, the transition for pregnant moms and teen pregnant moms and their babies. I would love to do that.
Thank you, Lizette. So here's
Sure.
another
Sorry,
little,
my-
here's another little sweet way that we can do it too. How many of y'all have open houses coming up in December? Raise your hand. Okay, when you are doing your door knocking for that open house, let them know that this is a charitable event as well. Do a food drive and say to them, because of course you do the door knocking prior to, you know, the open house. Just say the day of the open house, here's a bag. If you feel like giving, I will pick it up and we're going to do this. If you're stacking those habits and creating the E to P, what a wonderful time of year to do that. Give it to your local food drive or the toys. You know, Deep has a fantastic way that he does that too, and you pick them up. So if you don't want to drive all over Orlando and you want a little cute little idea, you know, if you're having an open house, let them know that during this open house, you are also doing a food drive or a toy drive or whatever the passion is that you're wanting to give back to, and giving them that opportunity to give, because people like to give. Sometimes they get wrapped up in all of their family stuff. If we make it a little easier for them, just like what Deep does, you know, just Venmo me. If you don't have a toy, just Venmo me the money, you know, make it easy for them to be able to be a part of. People like being a part of the community, a part of something greater than themselves. We all do. We're part of the GPS group, you know.
Well, Claire, when I started this thing, I was like, you know, I was thinking like everybody else is thinking, oh, nobody wants to help, or they won't want to get involved. It's shocking how many people do want to get involved. It's shocking. They just don't, they want to, but they don't know how to do it, right? It's so that simple. It's like somebody texting you money, right? It's in this day and age, you can do that. Make them fill out a form. I'm gonna get, I haven't started. Guys, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Whenever I go do these runs and drop these toys off at that location, because they're just collecting now, they haven't started giving it out yet. That feeling you get, I can't tell you. I don't care if I do a couple hundred transactions or make $1 million a commission. I'm never gonna get that feeling. It's just it hits you in a place that makes you realize why you put on this planet. There's a reason behind everything that I do, and you know that's why whenever I talk to people about it, I get so excited, and everybody wants to be part of it. It just people just need a little push. That's all there is.
Absolutely, Deep. Go ahead, Lizette, because you were breaking up.
Yeah, my signal's really bad. I'm in Apopka. So I also wanted to say, I worked in a church a long time, and one thing I can share with everybody, I think we're always having that feeling that we never do enough. I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty. I never do enough. Like Deep said, a lot of people are willing to give, but nobody asks the question. Nobody puts that thought, you know, and people get excited. You see their face change when they're like, oh, I can do something. I mean, you can see it in their whole thing, demeanor change. And then when you leave and they did something, it just brings out the good in them. Like the endorphins just start kicking in. So, and the other thing, I want to suggest something for the GPS group. I think we should do, this is me throwing out ideas. Again, I'm like that. But I think that we should house every 3 months. And we all gonna do we're gonna do asking for donations, whatever it is, but we're gonna do an all GPS thing where we are giving back to the community through our open houses. I think that's a great idea, and you know, it makes it, you know, we can do it all together, right? Little seeds all together makes a big abundant, oh my gosh, you know, my words are coming out. Blessing, there you go.
That's what's so cool, and it makes a huge impact. I know my husband, he has his own little ministry, and I enjoy watching him in his ministry. He is a pilot, and you know, he has his own charter business, and what he does in some of his downtime, he's connected with a charitable company called Pilots for Paws. Okay, so they pick up pets from kill shelters and they take them to their foster or forever homes. So it's really kind of cool, you know, because here's all these animals in the plane having a ball. We've actually had pets deliver puppies while we were in flight. And thank goodness my daughter was in the plane at the time because she helped the mama. So it's the little things that warm your heart. Just turn it into something bigger and allow people to be a part of it. You know, we're throwing out a lot of ideas. Not one is set in stone. I will tell you, if you listen to Lizette and to Deep and hear the passion that's in their heart, those seeds of greatness were planted within us from the very beginning. Those are the seeds of greatness that allow us to make our phone calls, that allow us to go on our showing appointments, that allow us to go on our listing presentations, that allow us to get through the negotiations with interesting people, that allow us to receive the rewards of our hard work. But those seeds of greatness were planted within us from the very beginning. Unleash that, feed it, let it grow, and watch what happens, because left to our own devices, we're going to die. If we're not growing, we're dying. If we feed it, then it becomes bigger than what we expected, because that's what the great God of all of us has in store for us. And I'm not talking on a religious aspect. I'm talking on the spiritual realm, the 18 inches between your head and your heart. Your head's saying, oh, I don't know how to do this. And your heart's saying, but you want to, but you get to. So let's try to figure out a way together, because the 18 inches between your head and your heart is the journey of your life. Your head's out to get you, your heart's out to save you. And so here in propelling our businesses and we're blasting into 2023, it's going to be one of the most interesting years. And why not set it up for success in giving back? Because it is Giving Tuesday. And I'm not preaching, I'm just teaching the experience, strength, and hope that I have so graciously learned through my lifetime. And it is with giving that one has to learn to receive. Oh, Lizette, that's great. Today is Giving Tuesday. Go door knocking and have a flyer with QR codes to donate. Fantastic. Fantastic. Will, your head's down. Share with us, buddy.
What do you want me to share? I'm sorry, I was answering a text. That's why my head was down. My bad.
Put you on the spot. So when we're looking at propelling our business to 2023, what have you placed on your plate to accomplish, and how do you plan on doing that?
For me, it's just about consistency. I mean, for me, the goal for 2023 for me is to just have systems in place of touching clients. You know, I've been in the business long enough now that, you know, you do have that 50 or so that are pretty consistent with referrals and things like that, just to be able to touch people more consistently. I've struggled over the years with, once you get busy, you know, I want to do things myself. You know, handing off something to a transaction coordinator this year is probably going to be something that's going to be a big step for me, unfortunately. Having to let go, I mean, maybe fortunately, having to let go of some of these things, but just being very consistent in the way you love on people, and very intentional about it. That's, you know, that's the way I'm going to boost my business plan this year. I've got the systems in place. I know what creates a business for me, but, you know, that's just kind of the stuff that is the foundation of your business. I want to have people, you know, I want to get to the point where, you know, 90% of my business is referral business. Right now, it's probably 60%.
So in taking that 60 to 90%, doesn't it make sense to make a little subtle correction? And if you're pouring into those people that have brought you business and those cheerleaders that continue to refer you business, if that's a great return on investment, if 60% of your business is coming from that aspect of your business model, doesn't it make sense to take at least 10% and pour into those people? Because your return on investment is 60% of your business. I mean, let's get factual and get numbers wise if we need to, you know. I mean, it makes sense to me. Who else has some ideas? Because we've heard from a few. Everybody's got the cameras off except for a few. So tell me some more.
You mean ideas for the holidays?
How do you pour into the people who have brought you business?
An easy way is social media. Always love.
So Chris, go a little bit deeper. I know you're walking around. Go a little bit deeper. How you use social media to pour into them.
So it's a great way to keep track of what they're doing to add to your CRM, number one. Sorry, I'm out of breath, so you guys have to forgive me. Number two, if you're liking and you're commenting on everyone's posts all the time, you're always top of mind, you're always their cheerleader, and they'll return the favor. And every morning my Facebook sends me updates for birthdays. So just comment, happy birthday. Very easy.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that I know that Chris does, and so does Liz Quinones, which I don't see her on the call this morning, is she boosts other businesses who support her as well, like small businesses and big businesses. And she'll boost them through her social media, either Instagram or Facebook, which I guess Instagram feeds into Facebook. I don't know how all that works. All I know is that it does. So I'm not a social media guru. I just post. So, and then I like and I comment or private message people. So one of those things is if they're like your nail person or your hair person or your pet groomer or your car washer or your cleaning person or your home inspector, your favorite mortgage person, because I see Ali is on here, y'all. So Ali has many divisions in his business. And do we help him? I mean, one of it, let me just do a shout out to one of Ali's people. Okay. He has an individual named Lynn, and she's fantabulous. She actually sent me a special gift. And I was just so amazed. I was just like, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. And it was a personal text message. I hadn't even realized that I gave Lynn my number, except for Ali passed it on. And then she sent me a special little it felt so good to receive a special message from her because we're developing a relationship. Ali knows how to do that at a high level and has also taught his people to do it at a high level, and she nailed it. So I'm just giving a shout out to her, and she works with Ali. So thanks, Ali, for doing what you do.
The other thing to think about with social media too is that there's a lot of people that are just getting started with it and they need your support, they need your feedback, they need your help. And that's a good way to connect, like you're saying, with local businesses is like, hey, I'm going to shout you out. I'm going to go to this tea store. I'm going to post that, because everybody needs to be loved on. Even though they look like they're strong and big on social media, everyone needs a little bit of help.
Absolutely. Who else? Who else wants to share how they pour into the lives of the people who bring them business?
Hello.
Hey, Mateo.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. How about yourself? Tell us what's going on.
Okay, so I think everybody should have a should be creating a happy holidays post or card digital online. I use Canva for that, and people should be we as real estate agents, we should be sending that card to our clients by text message. Hey, I just wanted to check up on you. Happy holidays. That's on top of the one that you're sending physically, because you are doing both. One will cost you a little bit of money, but the other one is free and it's a touch, a little touch.
So Mateo, how long have you been in the business?
Around 3 years, probably a little bit more than 3 years, yes.
So where does the majority of your business come from?
Referral. I have never paid for for referrals. It's always it's always past clients, which let me tell you something. If you are a love ambassador, what does that mean? That every month you're checking up on them, you will always have business. That's what I do. That's what I do. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so Mateo has told us that we need to be love ambassadors.
Yes, yes. If you put that label on yourself, it will be more easy to remember to call on your past clients and check up on them. Mhm. If you're too busy to do that, hire a love ambassador, and you're going to give them that title. That person is gonna be in your office just to show love to your clients.
I love this. Y'all were
Yes,
sharing so many great ideas. Mateo, thank you so much.
no
I never looked at
problem.
myself as being a love ambassador, but I think that that's really cool. Will, you got
Yes.
your hand up. Go ahead.
So what I would love to hear is some advice from those of you who are out there that this is going to maybe sound terrible, but you're a task person over a people person. You know, you're the kind of person who really loves developing the systems. You like the nuts and bolts of it. And the meeting with people is just something you do because you know you have to. There's a lot of you on here that I can tell you are love people first, and you wouldn't care if you got an ounce of business from people because it's about the relationship or whatever. Yes, Claire, for sure. But others of us, you know, being that kind of sensitive and loving, you know, like people I know, it's not a problem. But people that I don't know well, I struggle a little bit to think about what is something that I can do to show them that I care about them. Things like that. You know, I sometimes have a hard time detaching the business side of it from the just loving them because they're people deserving my attention and all that. So what are some things that people who are in that phase learning can do to kind of boost their the way they communicate more lovingly to people, I guess would be the point. And to start learning how to do that as your go-to rather than loving them because, you know, they're just serving your clients well. Actually getting to the point where you love people and care about them is, you know, it's kind of a next level thing. You know, you talk about that E to P thing, but I don't know that there's a path that's super clear sometimes.
So Will, I think that there's a lot of people that would probably in that same mindset. Can I ask permission to have, I see your hand, Chris, hang on. Can I ask permission for us to have a little coaching moment so that people can hear this conversation? Come off mute. So Will,
Yes.
what are you passionate about in your life? Not your business life, in your life.
My family probably would be the top.
Okay, and in your family, what brings you that passion? What part of your family aspect brings you that passion?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, I like to, you know, I just like to help them, you know, guide them in different directions. I mean, I have 2 college-age sons, so sometimes they need a little advice, and I enjoy serving my wife, and just, you know, she's a teacher, so that's kind of a tough realm to work in right now. So I mean, I
Sure.
think those are probably the things that I enjoy most.
So if you could wave a magic wand and you could help your wife and help your sons, how would that look? What would it look like?
Well, I don't know, because I probably have a misguided idea, you know, like I would want my wife to be able to retire from teaching, but I think she loves teaching. So like maybe that's not the best, or I'd like to provide my boys like new cars or whatever, but at the same time, I want them to work for those things. So, I mean, there's a lot of conflict going on in there. But I think, like, you know, being the provider is probably provider, protector, that kind of thing is probably my passion for my family. But, you know, I probably
So if I'm
overdo it sometimes.
hearing you correctly, you're kind of in between whether you're wanting to feed them a fish and teach them how to fish all at the same time, right? Your people and the people that are in your business are probably in the same boat. They're probably the same thing. You probably have people around you that have the same age kids. You know, y'all could do a cute little mastermind, get together for whatever. Let's just get together. have a guy's day, have a daddy day, where you can talk about your kids, talk about what's working, what's not. Those are passions. Okay. Those are things that when we have the crux in betweens, do we want them to work for it? Do we want to give it to them? Yes, we want to give it to them, but we want them to have a good work ethic as well. So if they've had a good work ethic, have they earned the car? Yeah, they have. And just like your wife, maybe she wants to have her own school. Maybe she wants to continue to teach, but have we asked those questions to dig deeper into what those people's passions are? Have we unleashed the passions in other people by asking questions? It's the same thing with a buyer's consult, a listing consultation, same thing. So when we are in that unknown spot, we just ask more questions, because when we're asking questions of what they would like, it makes them feel a part of, and it makes them feel needed, wanted, and desired. And especially those kids that are at that age where, cars, they all want to be a part of and spoken to as a human being, not father, son, not mother, daughter. They want to be spoken as a human being because they are their own selves. And just remember, when we're speaking with people, God ain't got no grandchildren. We're all children. And I love the fact that Mateo talked about being a love ambassador. Be a love ambassador to the people around you, and it will open up the directions where you need to go and pour your passion in. Does that help, Will? Good deal. So, Lizette, I saw you pop your hand up and then you went away. And then I'll get to Chris.
Okay. But I had lowered it. I think I wanted to give other people an opportunity to talk. But in general, the loving on people, one of the things that I'm gonna start working on next year is in my mind is, we can do like a family ideas that I always have, and they just keep taking. Doing an event, a family event at a park where you can do things, do crafts. So you can bring a little bowl, bring Santa at a local park in your community, and you can promote local groups everywhere. And then you could get the vendors to come help you sponsor some of the things, so you're not having to spend money. I like it because it.
Lizette, you're breaking up. I don't know where she went. God bless. So one of the things that one of our local area people have started is a mommy daddy shopping night for Christmas, because you have dual working parents and they never have time to go shopping for their families. So we have a group of teens at the local high school where they have a time in the gym where we get the local gym and parents can drop off their kids. And of course we have adults there to supervise, but the teenagers, they're like playing games and, doing all kinds of crafts and stuff with the kids so that moms and dads can go and shop. Now, how cool is that? That's awesome. And I know that Chris, you had your hand up when I was talking to Will, so go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to tell Will that I actually, if you know me well, I'm very, very introverted and I'm not a people person whatsoever. I would rather keep my eyes to the ground so that I don't have to make eye contact with you. So my business completely started off of social media. I would not go talk to anyone. So from that, I learned in building a community, which is how I've got to where I am in social, finding like the people that are like-minded, which for me ended up being business owners on social. So my advice would just be, if you can get on social media, show a little bit of love, it'll force you into a path of your community. Easy peasy, that's all.
We've heard from a lot of people. Can we hear from some new faces? What can we do to help your business today, y'all? That's what we're here for. We want your 2023 to be extremely successful. And we also want you to finish out 2022 as strong as possible. Now, I know Mr. George is not here, and I know George is very impactful and he's very influential, and he had some stuff come up. So I feel honored and privileged to be able to host with y'all today. And this is y'all's meeting, not our meeting. It's y'all's meeting.
Thank you, Claire, for the insight in this call today. I do want to chime in. I just seen in some of my Facebook groups, there's a mom and pop cookie company, not too far from my house. But long story short, they host cookie decorating classes. And with the hosting of the cookie decorating, you actually get the PowerPoint and the recipes to do the icing and the cookies. And I had already planned to do cookie decorating with one of my buyers on the 18th. So I'm actually waiting because she sold out. The event was like immediately sold out. But long story short, I would like to do that and incorporate that every year, especially now that she's going to be giving access to a PowerPoint. So I could be a host of that. And then of course, invite all of my family or my clients and their family and friends to come. So when you guys were just storming out these ideas, that was one that came up last week for me.
That's awesome. I love that. That is so cool.
Yeah, so what the plan is to give out the cookies that we actually make together to our family and friends. So my client is going to, because they're on a tight budget due to the buy and the sell of their home, that's going to be a little bit conservative for them, but be able to still gift people with some good love. So yeah.
Absolutely. So Tiffany, she's got her head down. I know that I can't go all the way to 9:30.
Yes, ma'am.
However, why don't we go ahead and stop the recording, turn it into an
Got it.
after party for a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all so much.